Hello, this is the Army Learning Model Shot in the Arm Workshop 3 Extended Preview. This video highlights the activities of the CITA Workshop 3, an adaptive version of the Shot in the Arm course offered by CAC in July of 2012. With each workshop, we introduced a different learner-centered way to cover the administrative information. The admin scavenger hunt has the students paired up and looking all throughout the MSCO for visual representations of every item on the admin list. They use their smartphones to capture pictures, and then they come back to the classroom and pair up with another pair to compare pictures and meet each other. Again, just another creative way to cover admin data and encourage communication amongst the learners. So our TLO today include lifelong learning and adaptability in a training or lesson plan, the conditions as a training or curriculum developer, instructor, or facilitator, or evaluator, given ALM 2015, small group discussions, concrete experiences, Blackboard access, Classroom 21, and an affiliated training or lesson plan. The standard for this workshop will be just to include one lifelong learning element and one adaptability element to your training or lesson plan. So I'm going to show you a bunch of that stuff today. So this is the math, and those of us that like math. What happens when you multiply anything times 0? You get 0. So what this is saying is, you know, no matter how much learning happens in that classroom, if I'm not using it outside of the classroom, I'm not getting any results. Doesn't matter how great this experience is. Doesn't matter how great you make that experience for your students while they're in your, while they're in your influence. If they're not using what you taught them somewhere else, if it's not transferring, then the transfer equals 0, the results equal 0. And we don't want that to happen. We want the learning to actually transfer. So we have to kind of think about this. How can I get that learning to transfer? Because if it's not going anywhere, I'm just kind of blowing hot air. And that kind of embodies the lifelong learning principle. So we're going to look at a couple of things. Have you all ever used the term reach back? As far as, what does reach back mean? Reach back is defined as the capability to retrieve information from a course after a learner has completed the course. We defined reach forward as a capability built into a course that encourages learners to get more information than was offered during the course once the course is over. So what I'm going to have you all do, this chart right here, I'd like you to pair up with someone you haven't paired up yet with. So go ahead and pair up, and then I'll give you your assignment. I just have a hard copy of this chart that you see up here on the slide. What you're going to do is complete the chart. The very top row has a list of capabilities that can be used for reach back or reach forward, or maybe both. So what you're going to do is, if you don't already know about that capability, you're going to look it up. So use the internet, use your smartphones, use your experience, and fill out the chart. What are the pros of that capability, the cons of using that, and can it be used for reach forward, reach back, or both? I want you to notice in the very last column it says other based on discussion. So I've given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want you to come up with a 6th capability that can be used for reach back or reach forward or both. Some of the other capabilities that students discussed included social networking, social media, and professional organizations. The MSCO staff and faculty offers a 2-hour mini workshop on the Mill Suite for users who are interested in building this lifelong learning capability into their courses. Have you all ever heard of the term formative assessment? Can you tell us what it is, Sir Goody? Yay!
I knew I shouldn't have raised my hand. Formative assessments, you actually probably do it and you don't realize you're doing it by that term. When you do checks on learning, that's really a formative assessment, because a check on learning, you're trying to establish whether or not your students, your learners, have gotten the material or not, and which ones have gotten it and which ones have not gotten it. And which ones need some remedial training, and which ones maybe can either go on break or need to become the SM, who to partner up for mentorship type opportunities. So formative assessment doesn't have to be Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be long. It's not an examination. It's not for grade, and it's really just information for both you and the student as to where they are at in the learning process and what they need to do in order to meet their needs at where they're at and to continue them on. Because your advanced learners, sometimes they need a challenging problem, and your students that aren't quite getting it, they need a little whatever one-on-one time. They need some put that math cap back on and I'll walk you through it again time.
Right. And the key with formative assessment is, like he said, you do that check on learning and you realize 7 people nailed it, 3 people need to see it again, 4 people, can't really tell. That's why that turning point yesterday, if sometime the way we do check on learning, I'll ask a group question and then I'll say, Sarnay, and you'll answer. All I know is whether you got it or not. I have no idea how everybody else is doing unless they all, ask a question, which a lot of people won't do even if they don't understand. So formative assessment, you want to get as many people assessed at those check on learning points as possible. And then you need to have a plan B and C if at the formative assessment point you determine that nobody got it. So what are some things I can do? Let's say I did a check on learning right now and everybody got the question wrong. What should I do? Just keep it moving? No. But if I don't have a plan for when people don't get it, I will wind up shooting from the hip. Some of the ideas that the students came up with for formative assessment included chunking, pairing students with subject matter experts, pairing students with other students, having different scenarios prepared, asking probing questions, having another instructor teach the task, having more than one visual aid, and having more than one method of instruction for the given task. Formative assessment creates an adaptive learning environment and fosters the adaptability soldier competency. Intelligent tutors are specifically named in ALM 2015 and are the wave of the near future. An intelligent tutoring system is a computer system that aims to provide immediate and customized instruction or feedback to learners, usually without intervention from a human teacher. Students saw current examples of intelligent tutors and their potential and then discussed how they could incorporate them into their learning activities. Now we're going to actually break up into 2 groups and discuss the pretest. Using a pretest is a great way to help you, first of all, adapt your lessons to your students' needs. So we're going to kind of spend a little time with pretests, maybe about 15, 20 minutes. In just a minute, I'll have you all break up. I'd like the shorties in that corner. And the tallies up at this front right board. What you're going to do is, the shorties, you're going to discuss and write out on that board, what are all the things you can do if you get a group in and they ace the pretest, which basically means, all things considered, your pretest is valid. It wasn't an easy A. They didn't cheat, none of that. Basically, they've come to your class, and based on the results of your pretest, they are far beyond anything you could teach them. What are some things, I want y'all to brainstorm, what are some things you will do with your student if they ace your pretest? And then I want the tallies at this board to discuss what are some things you can do if your students fail the pretest. Now, in a valid pretest, you want them to fail because it proves, okay, they're going to learn something out of my class. But what if, based on the pre-assessment results, you discover not only did they flunk your pretest, but they don't even have the bare basic minimum requirements needed in order to start at square one of your training. The students brainstormed options for adapting the learning environment to the learner based on their learning level revealed through pretest results. Pretests are also specifically named in ALM 2015. Students considered research projects and field trips for students that ace the course but still have to go through it. Students considered pre-assignments and additional DL training for students who don't have prerequisite skills for the course. We're going to play, it's called Play It Forward. Now, what you will do is I'm going to break you up into 4 groups of 4. And each group, I've given you some materials. You're not bound by these materials, but it's to get you started What you're going to do basically is create a game that has rules of play and a way to determine the winner. All right? So I've listed some generic topics just because I don't want you to spend too much time on picking a topic. I kind of want you to get into creating the game. So within your group of 4, you're going to pick a topic. Try and finish in enough time so that you could play the game and test it and tweak it. And then we'll have a little discussion about customized games afterwards. Students were given 45 minutes to create a game based on their topic of choice. Topics ranged from PRT to engineering-based games to games about implementing ALM 2015. During the discussion that followed, students thought they might either create a content-based game for their students to play or have their students create a game with the specific topic. Interestingly, while creating the game, students talked about their topics in great detail. Customized games have the potential to foster both the adaptability and lifelong learning principles. While Workshop 3 focused specifically on adaptability and lifelong learning, Workshop 1 is focused on student-centered activities, and Workshop 2 focuses on all 9 21st century competencies. Each workshop was designed to stand alone and can be taken in any sequence, reflecting the point of need training highlighted in the Army Learning Model of 2015. Students receive Phase 1 certification upon completion of all 3 workshops. Please contact your staff and faculty for information on how you can attend the ALM workshops. Thank you.